Hello friends and welcome to my channel. In today's video, we're going to take a basic video, a simple video and convert it into something like the Spider-Man into the Spider-Verse like video where there is a mixture of cell shading and color halftoning like the way that you're watching in the screen today. So I'll show you the original video. The original video is this one, which is basically a normal live action video and then converted into where it looks like a cell shaded cartoon and bit of halftoning in the bright areas as you have seen in the Spider-Man into the multiverse video. So let's go and show you how I've done that. So we are now in automatic 1111. I already have temporal kit installed, but I'll just show you how you can install this if you already haven't done that. So in order to install any extensions, you need to go to the extensions tab here and go to this available tab and just click load from, and it will show you a list of extensions, and one of those extensions will be this temporal kit here, which you will find in the available list, and you just need to press install. It will take a few seconds and you will have it installed, and after that you have to come back to the install tab and click on apply and restart UI, and when you've done that you will find that there is a temporal kit tab in your main automatic 1111 installation. So let's just go to so if you have done that, let's just go to temporal kit. So what temporal kit does, or what temporal kit has, is that you input any video and temporal kit will break down those videos and extract some key images, and you can download fsynth from fsynth.com. You'll find a big green download button. Press the download button and it will download to a folder, and you don't need to install anything. If you open that folder, you will get a few files, and if you press on fsynth.exe, it will start by itself. So no need to install anything. This is very simple. So what this temporal kit does is it creates the files that are important for fsynth to run. And what fsynth needs is that it needs the video frames, which this temporal kit is going to create from your video. It is going to extract all of the frames and put it in a folder, and it is also going to extract some keyframes that's going to put them in a folder as well, but grouped together. And then you can use those grouped keyframes to do whatever you want to do with those images. You can do an image to image to create a stylized image, or you can use my process to Photoshop over those images. And then this temporal kit is going to again break those images up so that you can input them in fsynth, and fsynth can look at those keyframes and distribute that style to all of the frames. So you don't have to go to every frame and stylize them or do the things that you want to do to them. You can only work on those keyframes, and rest of the other frames is going to be converted to that particular style. So anyways, I have prepared a video. I've cut that section of video from the Warner Brothers trailer, so I'm just going to place it over here. So I'm going to drag my scene over here, and over here it says how many sides do you want. So what this sides does is it creates a grid of images of your keyframes. So it's going to extract some keyframes and arrange them in a grid so that you can work on them all at once instead of having to work on them separately. So it's going to extract the keyframes and arrange them in an orderly fashion, which I'll show you now. So two sides means that there's going to be two images horizontally and two images vertically. So you will get four images. If you type in three sides, then it's going to create three images horizontally and three images vertically. So you can work on 9 images at a time. But if you increase the number of sides, then the resolution of the sides is going to be decreased. You can of course also change the resolution. For example, if the number of sides is 2 and your resolution is 1024, then it's going to create a height of 1024 and divide that into 2. For example, if you give 2 by 2 grid, or if you say number of sides is 2, it's going to take a frame of 1024 in height and divide this into 2 by 2 grid and place 4 keyframes in each of the grid, something like this. Like as you see, there are 4 quadrants or 4 images in the grid, 2 on the top and 2 on the bottom. Similarly, if you type 3 here, then you're going to get something like this. So the width will be divided by 3 and the height will be divided by 3, and you will get 9 images. So obviously you're going to get lower resolution in each of the grids. So one way to counter that is actually by increasing the height resolution. So you increase the height resolution, then you're going to get a higher image. So my video is actually only 3 seconds long. So I think sides of 2 and a resolution of 1024 is good for me. But if you have a slightly longer video, or if you want a highly consistent video, then it's actually preferable that you put as many grids as possible in one image and then you make it go through image to image, because every time you do image to image there will be some differences and your end result will feel that things are shifting. Now because I'm going to use Photoshop, I don't have to worry about the issues that crop up when you use image to image, and all of my images will be very much consistent to each other because there will be no randomness in the generation of image. So it really doesn't matter to me, and for this project it shouldn't matter to you. Anyways, let's go through with that. Let's keep the size as 2 and let's keep the resolution as it is, and let's have 5 frames per keyframe, which means that it's going to create one keyframe every 5 frames, and the FPS of the video is 30, and we're going to click Fsynth mode here, save the settings and specify a target folder. So I already have a target folder. I'm just going to paste the address of the target folder where I want all of my Fsynth files to stay, and I'm just going to create the batch run here. So the batch run is going to ensure that if you have a long video, longer than 1 second, then it's going to create keyframes for all of them. Now Epson has a thing that is it cannot process more than 20 keyframes at a time. The Epson app. So if you have a video that's very long and probably has more than 20 keyframes, then you need to select this. Then it's going to cut down the videos into separate parts or split them, and then you need to apply your effect to the keyframes on all of those different input files. I'll show it to you. So if you have a very long video, let's say if you have a 1 minute video, then you need to click here, and then temporal kit is going to divide that into different parts or split the video and create different folders for each of those parts or each of those split videos, and then you have to go in and do your thing on all of those separate folders. So we are all good to go, and we're going to press run. So before that, I bring my temporal folder here, press run, and show you how it's going to create all of these different folders. So as you can see inside my temporal folder, I have all of these different folders which temporal kit and Epson is going to need. So it has done creating the keyframes. I'm just going to show you. So right now all the other folders other than the input folder is actually empty. So you can see the frames folder is empty, the keys folder is empty, but only the input folder has some files. And if you click on these image files, you will see that temporal kit has extracted keyframes from this video once every 5 frames and put them together in a grid like I said. It's a 2 by 2 grid, so you can actually take this entire grid into your image to image, or you can take them into Photoshop like I will do, and then apply your effect on these images. So now let's go to my Photoshop and apply this effect. Okay, so I'm in my Photoshop now, and for the stylized effect, I'm going to open this file called Comic Photoshop Action, which I will share with you so that you can follow this tutorial along. So we need to bring each of the input files into this Photoshop file, and Photoshop will automatically apply a comic book style action on it. But before we bring on the images, we need to change the size of this Photoshop file. So we need to make sure that the Photoshop file size matches the images. So what is the size of each of these images? Let's go to the properties. So each of these images are 1584 by 1024. So we need to do the same here. So we need to go to image, canvas size, and 1584 by 1024. Okay, it's been resized. Just delete the top layer. We don't need the top layer. And then we need to go into this photos layer and change this size as well. Change this to, again, go to canvas. Let's write 1584 by 1024 and press OK. So the file dimension has been changed. So now you can start bringing these input images one by one. So let's bring the first one here and press Ctrl S to save. It will update the smart object, and we finally see that the effect that we're talking about has been applied on these frames. Now I want to make some changes to these frames. I feel that the dots are slightly too large, so I need to go in and click on the effect folder here, the layer of effects, and click here and make the size smaller. Let's make it 4. So we'll get bit more grainy effect. It will look better. Okay, so now we need to save it. So in order to save it, we need to go to export, export as. So when you export this as PNG, you need to be careful to turn off this transparency. So now we need to export this into the output folder inside the temporal folder which we are working. So we need to go to the output folder and we need to make sure that it has the same name as the input image name. So the input image name was input 0. So we'll also call it input 0. Again, we do the same with the second image. We again bring this to this file, the photo.psb file. We drag it here, save it, and see that automatically the effect has been applied to this series of images as well. And again, export it to the output folder. Make sure that the transparency is turned off. Export to the output folder and name it input1 because that was the name of the original file which we imported. So in this way, you need to bring all of those images, input 2, 3, 4, or if you have more images, then you need to bring all those images into Photoshop and then place it into the PSB file so that it automatically has the effects applied on it, and then save it with the same file name but this time in the output folder. So guys, I have done it on all of these keyframes. So now we are in automatic 1111 and our pre-processing is done. Let's go to the fsync process tab, and over here again put down the input folder. So remember, it has to be the same input folder address that you pasted in here. Just copy it and paste it here, and then click on read last settings. So it will automatically detect the settings that you used previously and bring all of the files here ready to go. So now we have brought everything from the pre-processing, and now we need to click on the prepare fsynth button. So what this prepare fsynth button does is it creates the frames and prepares for us to work in fsynth itself. So now if you go into the frames folder, you will see that it has broken down the video into all of these frames, and also it has broken down the input keyframes into separate frames itself. So I'll show it to you. So if you go to the frames folder now, you will see that all of the frames from the video file has been extracted into separate frames. And if you go to our keys folder now, you will see that the effects that we had applied to 4 images at a time has been broken down and separate files has been created. So the prepare fsynth part is done. So now the next work is in fsynth itself. Okay, so we have opened the fsynth app. So what we need to do is we need to take the frames folder and drag it to the video folder. The reason we take the frames folder to the video folder is because the frames folder actually contains all the frames in the video. So it's basically the same thing. And we take the keys folder and drag it to the keyframes folder. So now you can see that the fsynth app has automatically configured itself. So all we need to do is we need to press the run all button. So run all button is going to take all of those keyframes and look at the effects that you have applied and apply it to the rest of the frames from the video. So let's wait for the fsynth app to finish its process. Okay, so the fsynth process has ended. So now we can go back to our stable diffusion, and then everything is good to go. Now we can recombine all of those folders and all of those frames into a video file. So for that, just click on recombine fsynth. Okay, so the processing is done and the output is ready. Let's look at the output file. So as you can see, it took the effects that I applied to a few keyframes and applied to all of the other frames in the video, making it or giving it a very coherent comic book like look. So now I'm going to do the same again, but this time I'm going to apply a different effect. Now before we do that, we need to make sure that this crossfades file is copied and stored elsewhere. So I'm just going to copy it and place it in my desktop. Now if you want to use the same video and the same frames but apply a different effect, then we don't need to do everything from the beginning. We just have to delete a few things. We just need to delete a few things. So we need to delete all of these out files, out folders, delete these output images, and we can keep the frames as it is, and we can keep the input frames as it is. So only what we need to do is we need to go to the input folder, take these files, apply a different effect inside Photoshop, save them out in the output folder, and then run fsynth on them, and then go and come to stable diffusion and press the recombine absent button. For the second effect, I have another effect file which I'll share with you. It's called the comic cartoon effect. So again, we need to make sure that the size is same as our input file size. So let's go to image, canvas size. The height was 1024 and the width was 1584. And we need to double click here and go to the PSB file, make the size same, 1584 by 1024, and bring the input image here. Save it, and you have this kind of cartoonish style effect. So we need to do the same again for all of the rest of the input keyframes. So I have completed converting my key images into this cartoon-like image. Now you can go back to automatic 1111 and give the key images that you need to put inside your absinthe. So this will create a new set of keys. As you can see, these are the new set of keys, the new effect applied on it. So now you can go to absinthe and you can convert the rest of the frames using these keys and have it combined back again. So now we're all set to go to our temporal kit tab in automatic 1111 and just press the recombine absinthe, and it will basically combine all of those frames into one video file. So yes, the video has been converted using those keyframes, as you can see. So now we can actually combine the two different styles of video into After Effects. So I'll take you into After Effects and show you how I do my final mix. So in order to do that, let's rename this to crossfade cartoon and bring the previous crossfade and rename this to crossfade dots because it had this dots like effect. And also we need to bring the original video file, which is basically here. So now we can process these two styles in a Spider-Verse like effect. So inside After Effects, we need to create a new composition, and then we're going to bring our videos inside this. So the files are here, but as you can see, these two files are actually smaller than the original video file. So we need to drag them and make it bigger. So let's shift and drag them. So now we are good to go with the effect. Bring the input video on top of it. So what we need to do is we need to drive the visibility of these two layers, the dots and the cartoon layer, with the brightness of the input layer. So we don't really need to see the input video layer, but we need to take its brightness and use it as a track map. So we just need the brightness, we don't need the color. So what we can do is we can add a black and white filter on it. So we're gonna add a black and white filter on it, and then we're going to use this particular video to drive the video underneath it, which means that we're going to use the brightness and the darkness of this video to act as some kind of mask for the dots video. So the simplest way of doing it is keep the input video on top of the dots video, and then in the dots video go to track matte and apply luma matte. But the effect is not very strong. That's because if you look at this video, we see that it's more or less uniform. So we need to make the bright parts really bright and the dark parts really dark. So in order to do that, we need to add the levels filter on it. Okay. They include black much higher. And then let's see how it affects the video. So as you can see, if you increase the black level, then the sort of the crosshatch or the dot disappears, and if you reduce the input black level, then it reappears. So what we need to do is we need to find the sweet spot where the dark parts do not have that dotted effect, and perhaps the light parts only has that. So let's find the sweet spot and change the gamma back down. Maybe work with the whites and change the midtones just a bit for uniformity. So now we have this effect where the bright parts have one kind of effect working on them, and the really dark parts have a different kind of effect, the cartoon-like effect working on them. So now if we play this video, we'll see that all of these effects work on each other seamlessly. So friends, here's the final video.
No, please don't. Ow, Barry.
Let's watch it again.
No, please don't. Ow, Barry.
And let's watch the original video.
No, please don't. Ow, Barry.
So basically, I've taken a very normal video and converted into Spider-Verse like cartoon and dots effect. So friends, I hope you like this video. If you like my video, please press the like button and also subscribe my channel if you want to watch more videos like this in the future. So see you again in the next video. Till then, goodbye.